I'm going to talk about is the growth of the Private Members Club. For those of you that don't know, I thought I'd give a little background as to where Private Members Club came from and where they go to. It's going to be the history of the Private Members Club, where they come from, what happened about Achica, where the evolution of Achica came from, and the future of private member clubs, where we think that they're going to go in the future. Private Members Club started actually in 2002 with a company called Von Privé. Obviously, Von Privé meaning private member in French, or members club in French. They were a mail order company, and they had some excess stock that was very high end and decided to sell it to some of their upper market clients, and therefore created vonprivé.com as a private members club. They're still the biggest in Europe at this precise moment in time, and we think, we don't know exactly because they don't publish it, but we think there's somewhere around 10 million members across Europe. Following on from them was a couple of other companies, Brand Alley into the UK, and Gilt into the States. Gilt in the States are very different to the very, very upmarket. And they transformed from what was Von Privé and Brand Alley, which do majority of clothing. So it started with clothing where there was excess stock on a four-season cycle. Gilt decided to try and expand that and not just do clothing, but to do some gifts and lifestyle goods as well. Following on from them, and that's in the States, Gilt is in the States, following on from them was One Kings Lane. And One Kings Lane really just does household merchandise. Very, very successful business. The leaders of Achica, who are we? We have two owners. One of the gentlemen is called, on the right-hand side, is called William Cooper. And he came from an industry where he worked on the internet. And therefore understands the marketing on the internet very well. The other person, Quinton Griffiths, was one of the founder members and started a little company called ASOS. So his knowledge on the internet, and he actually started on the internet when the internet was a very, very different place than it is now. People just didn't trust it at all. Nobody would even put their credit card number into the computer. And so he found that experience we found it very useful when he came to us a number of years later to know the pitfalls that had likely happened at the beginning. What is Achica? Achica, by the way, came about with the name Chic, C-H-I-C. Quinton likes companies to start with the letter A, so it was A-Chic. Didn't sound quite right, so we put an A at the other end, so it's Achica. We do great prices. That's part of the reason for private members clubs is for great prices. We have good quality products. We chose brands, and it's brand-led business. We have a very wide choice, and that will prove. I'll show you some of the facts and figures from it in short. We try and do some style and design ideas and we come across it later as well, but in your bag is a magazine that we publish. It's not a selling magazine because the nature of private sale clubs is we only run promotions for a short period of time. So that is really just a style magazine to go out to our members. And we're doing constant newness all the time. 87% female is our membership. And that is very high. It's actually grown since we first started. In the first 2 years, we were at 70%, so it's grown up to 87% female. 40% are very affluent of our members. We tailored that when we started, and that was what we wanted to do, and that's what we've achieved. Obviously, the more members you get, that percentage is going to come down, but that's how we started, and that's where we are at the moment. And 51% are housewives or part-time employed. Okay, a bit about private sale clubs, and we all operate exactly the same way, really. Is that it's behind a walled garden, so that when the products are online on our site, the only people that see those are our members. So you cannot search a product and find it and it will come up. If you search a product and you'll find it in Amazon or you'll find it in a number of outlets, you won't find Achica unless we want it to. But we can actually stop that, and it's called a walled garden site. So it's only visible to our Achica customers. There's a second way. We can have discrete, we can have open, so that those products can be seen on Google. In other words, you can search them on Google, but it won't show the prices. So we can control which way we want any product that we have on the site to go. Or the final way is all prices, everything can be seen on Google or anywhere else or any other search engine. How have we grown on our membership? First year, we got to 95,000 members. Second year, 630,000 members. 2,200 members, and how we are currently, and it's actually just 4,110,000 when I left the office yesterday. We're growing at about 25,000 members a week at this precise moment in time. It's an astonishing growth, and of course, along with that growth came turnover growth and the number of promotions that we put on. 2010, we did 780 promotions. Currently, we've got 12 buyers in the UK. When in 2010, there was 4 of us. But this year, we'll put on somewhere in the region of 12,500 promotions. At any current time, we've got on site probably about 110 promotions running at any one time on the site. This is a good opportunity to explain how a private sale club works and how the process actually works. The process only works really well if we have a good connection between ourselves and our suppliers. It is very simple. We do sell at less than recommended retail prices. That's the nature of private sale clubs. And we understand that. But we put the products on that is agreed between ourselves and our suppliers. Those products only go on for a short period of time. They're only on between 3 and 5 days. And those products are visible to our members or anybody else, depending on what we saw before, whatever those manufacturers choose. So it is a choice between us and the supplier. At the end of that sale, and the other thing that we do decide is how many products are made available by that supplier. So you might turn around and say, I've got 10 of this one, I've got 20 of that one, I've got 50 of that one, or those you can have as many as you like, I've got them coming at my ears. But we'll never oversell from that, those items that we put on, those quantity we put on. So we put the quantity on, we sell it for a period of time, 3 to 5 days, and at the end of those 3 to 5 days, we send the suppliers an order for what is being sold. They send that back as a pro forma, and very importantly, we pay them straight away. It's a fallacy that we get paid the money by our customers before we pay the suppliers. For various reasons, government intervention says that we're not allowed to do it. The banks like to keep hold of our money for a little bit longer before they give it back to us. So therefore, we are actually paying our suppliers before we get the money back from our customers as well. It's a fallacy that we get the money straight away. So, and then we literally have those goods delivered to our warehouse, which is actually in Oldham, just outside Manchester. And currently, at the moment, we're doing between 70 and 100,000 items come into the warehouse and go out of the warehouse each week. It's quite a big business. We also have a number of other sites. The UK is about 85% of the business that we run, and that's where it started, and that's where the majority of our members are. But starting 18 months ago, we went to France and Spain, and starting 12 months ago, we went into Germany and Poland. We've also opened an office, a buying office in France, in Paris, and we've got a warehouse now in Paris as well. And also we've got a buying office in Spain. We will probably be expanding into more parts of Europe very shortly. We also sell all the way around the world. That's the nature of the internet, is that you can't be specific where people that buy it are living. And so we have to be prepared to sell to a number of places. We have lots of members that are not based in the UK. We can't stop them being members just because they live elsewhere. It does cause us some problems in shipping merchandise, and we have to have some restrictions. You know, big pieces of furniture, garden furniture, and certain sizes and weights, we just cannot ship halfway around the world. It's not viable. But majority of the items we do sell around the world. Particularly interesting area is Australia, where they have embraced the private members club. There's 2 or 3 private members clubs in Australia, where they've embraced that enormously, and they are probably, them in the States, are the biggest leaders in people buying from private sale clubs. So it could be an interesting exercise for us to open Achica in Australia, but it's a long way away to be able to sort that out. We deal with brands. As I said, brands are very important to us, and it's really where we got to right at the beginning. And so it is with brands that we do a lot of business with, or we did a lot of business with. When we first started, it was very important to establish ourselves with some of the big brands to get the customers on board. But I've got to say now, really what is most interesting is that we can offer the customers a bit more interesting merchandise that not necessarily comes from some of the top brands. And some of our best sales over the last 6 months have been from companies that are not on that board there, or probably not even household names. It's literally down to the product. Okay, this is just a few interesting bits of information. The business model, when it first started, has been established now, as I said, since 2003, and has proved to be very successful in every country it has gone into. What it has done is some very interesting points that come out of it that you wouldn't expect. It's increased, obviously, brand awareness of some brands that get exposure. If you put your merchandise on our site, we put it on under your brand name, if that's what you want. If you don't, that's fine as well. But if you put it under your brand name, it's instantly going to get seen by 4 million people. We send out 4 million emails every day to all our members, whether they open them, of course, that's their decision, but we do send those emails out. And so, therefore, your brand is going to get instant recognition. The difference is that what we found, and we didn't expect it, but what we found was that when this information goes out, and people either buy it because it's a short period of time, or they don't, but they do remember that brand. And then they're starting to buy that brand from other retailers, bricks and mortar retailers, as well as other online retailers, at a later stage. They can only buy it from ourselves for that 3 or 5 days of the sale. And we don't repeat the same brand for more than 4 or 5 times in 1 year. So your maximum exposure to us as a brand is 12 to 14 days a year. So if they want to buy that product elsewhere, then they can. Part of the success of private sale clubs has also been the fact that because we offer the things as a discount, there are some products in the world that people would like to have thought about but probably can't afford, and don't see the benefits of that more expensive brand. An example of that is probably something like Le Creuset cookware. Le Creuset cookware is very expensive, but it is very, very good. And if you can get a piece at home, you probably won't ever go back to something else. But we'll only have it on the site for a short period of time. We might only have a small selection of colours. But if those people find and see the success of that product, and have got one in their homes, then they're more likely to go back to other stores and buy it. So therefore, we do find that does actually happen, that other retailers, bricks and mortar retailers, are being asked for products that they've seen and has got exposure on our site. We do a number of different areas. We don't do clothing. Considering where one of our owners came from, I think he probably had enough of clothing by the time he came to us. But we don't do clothing. But we do a number of other areas as well, and are expanding all the time. The latest area isn't actually even up there. We've started to do antiques and vintage. We've been very successful doing art and design, which is a category that started just over a year ago, and food and drink as well. Food and drink being not your supermarket, but sort of upmarket chocolates, olive oil, that kind of product. But obviously our core business is really in household, so bed and bath, kitchen and dining, and which we do is the majority of where our business is. Where do we get where we are? Well, we do TV advertising. We've done TV advertising right from the beginning. We started off on More 4. We then moved at 3 times the cost to Channel 4. We've now since moved to ITV, which is 4 times the cost of Channel 4. It's become very, very expensive, but it has got us where we are, and that's why we are the leading private sale club, because we invested a lot of money initially in getting our name out there into the marketplace. We do quite a lot of print advertising. all the advertising we do, whether that is on TV or in print, is not merchandise based. It's just about Achica. We can't do merchandise based because the goods aren't on our site at all times. So we can't possibly do that. So we have to just do it as Achica.com and the values that we do. And we do a lot of online. Obviously, with Will Cooper, one of our other owners, has a lot of experience in online, but we do a lot of work on Google, Facebook, and YouTube. In fact, we employ 2 people alone that do nothing else but write our blog, write on Facebook, all day, every day. Some of you might have seen the TV ad that's appeared on the TV. And we try and do something a little bit different to just say, put some garden chairs in the fact that we're on where I think there's a hammock in the middle of an office or something. We're also trying Classic FM and some other radio channels to see if that will work. We started off in Scotland and that proved quite successful. And we're moving that forward to do some more work on that. We've got Pin Interest as well. And we've also got the magazine. As I said, there's a copy of the magazine in your thing. It's a style magazine. It's our take on that. We've got a lot of experienced buyers that work for us now. And so it's our take on what's going to come in the near future. Just as an example, last Christmas was very much about stag's heads. Everywhere you went, there was a stag's head on the wall. I think this year it might well be owls, so watch out. Ansley's well. And there's the magazine. The interesting thing about the magazine is we do nearly 250,000 print run, which is actually bigger than all those magazines. So it goes out to an awful lot of people, and it's quite influential. And as you look inside it, we don't sell space in it. I'm not here to sell space in the magazine. It's just done as a magazine to. Future of private members clubs. Okay, obviously for Achica we will go country expansion. That will be one of the things that we want to do. But I think in private members clubs in general, the countries that haven't got private members clubs at the moment will start getting them. They'll start on a small way, whether some will survive, some will fall by the wayside. What will happen, and what's happened in the States, is it's become very product specific. I'm not sure we can do that in the UK. I don't think the number of people in the UK is big enough. But in the States, you've had very specialised private sale clubs. So there's ones just for children's clothing. There's ones for sporting goods. I think probably in the UK and maybe in Europe, it will probably stay as a department store type idea. It might expand a little bit. But I think clothing and then the rest is probably what it's likely to be. We'll definitely do some private label. As we found out what the best sellers and also the availability, the amount of merchandise that we now goes through our business. There are some products that the suppliers have just not got enough of for us to be able to do a sale for 5 days. And so we'll probably have to do some private label work to be able to do that. Price specific, we're trying a number of different things. Obviously when you start, you want to try and grow the business as much as you can. We're trying something new at the moment that might be interesting. We're trying what's called always on. That doesn't show your image on the main site, but the goods are there in the background. But they will not be done at a price point like we do on the normal site. We're probably looking at only 10% discount. Just to see what effect that's had. If somebody wants to buy a pair of garden clippers, then they want to buy them that day. They don't want to wait 4 to 6 weeks till the next time it appears on our site. So we've seen whether that has an effect or not. And then, obviously, one of the interesting things that's come along and why we opened the offices both in Paris and Milan was because there was a lot of local brands that we have in the UK, but they also have in France and Spain, that are really not in the UK. And so for them to pick up some brands, and we've been really successful, particularly with some French brands, that, it is only just literally across the water. We don't know them at all in the UK. But when we've actually put them on the site and shown them, it's been quite interesting how well they've done. One other thing to say about that is what is really important to us, and it's a big change. In my life, I used to be a bricks and mortar buyer. In fact, I spent all my life as a bricks and mortar buyer. And what was really important to me, I bought toys, and people used to say to me, Simon, do you like buying toys? And I said, I don't buy toys, I buy nicely coloured boxes with toys inside them. And the packaging was absolutely everything for me. You know, it was really, really important that they had great packaging. What is really important to me now, more than anything else, it's not necessarily the price, it is actually the image that you can supply to me or I can take. Because that image, that picture can mean 1,000 words. And it's very, very important that that picture on the site is good. It's a big change. And of course it's a big change because it's another cost that either we've got to stand or the suppliers have got to stand. But it is so very important, and that will make the difference whether that product does really well or not.